Okay, I believe we're live and people are pouring in, and it's July 8th. Can't believe that we already went through 4th of July celebration and it's half of the year gone and never a dull moment, as they say. And lots to talk about today. We have a great guest. But before we get rolling, let's have John Sibley Butler to play some music.
I've been inside out and around about and back again. I've been so many places I can't remember where I went. And the clock on the wall was my only friend and my only boss. Never really was a friend of mine. And I've traded love for pennies, sold my soul for less. I lost my ideas in that long tunnel of time. And I turned inside out and round about and back again. Found myself right back where I started again.
Woo! Johnny.
That's old as you. That's old as you, Luella. One of my grandfather's songs. How are you?
So let me tell you guys, 4th of July celebration was epic. Fireworks everywhere. My neighborhood, it's across the street, across the town, everywhere, every community, gazillion fireworks. If you were in the firework business, you did well last weekend. Uh, and the war is back on. I don't even want to know. Stock market, AI, the Magnificent Seven, the economy, inflation's creeping up. Oil was doing well, now it's back up, and who knows how high it's going to go. So innovation is rampant, crazy, billions into new companies and smart cities and AI. And so we're going to talk with our friend the CIO of the City of Grand Prairie, Texas, in a second here. But before we get going, Johnny, what's your thoughts about what's happening?
Well, of course, it was good to see the 4th of July to remind us that it's not a king anymore, that we're endowed by our creator and not the king. The king is not the boss. So it was always good to know that we are away from England and understand what's going on, the Constitution. And then I looked at all the stuff around the 14th Amendment. And as a Louisiana kid, I know that people never have really liked any amendments doing after the Civil War, especially the 14th Amendment. But that's pretty wild. So, we're back to that. And then, Andres, I pick up the paper. When I was in high school, we had something called democracy versus communism. I said, Lord, is it back again? So now there are debates that's happening because of the election in New York City. So it's always good for us to refresh ourselves about what America is, how it got here, and always tell the truth about how it got here because that's very, very important. Well, Andreas, we're kind of bouncing around in the AI stuff. The city of Austin is really, really, really growing. The state of Texas is really, really, really growing. And I think that we see here in Central Texas, if you will, I mean, Amazon would put a new a facility, in Round Rock, I think.
Mhm.
And then you see the layoffs that goes on with the Amazon and the layoffs that goes on with Microsoft. Then all of a sudden something else comes back. So a lot of my students from Texas have called and they've been laid off and they have to do something else. The stock market is booming and the war is back on, as you said. As a decorated Vietnam veteran myself, that's always bad to see. But I think that we don't know what's going to happen on that thing. But I can tell you this: it will have an effect on the price of petroleum. What's going on at the with automobiles and that kind of stuff. And on top of all of that, you've got all of the issues of not only creating new jobs, but finding new jobs. And there's a lot of mobility in the world. I mean, there's a lot of mobility. And when I say mobility, I mean mobility. That is, people seeking different opportunities. But what nobody talks about is that for the first time in my lifetime, China is a real power with a great military, with the atom bomb, creating jobs and opportunities in a different kind of way. And I think that and I think we're in a lot of crisis politically. I think there's a lot of division along political lines, but it always has been. But the introduction of this democratic socialism is pretty wild to me. So we're just moving along, Andreas, and we'll make it through if we make good decisions about the future and see how to make sure that there are opportunities for the future. And the cities themselves will just change tremendously in the next 5 to 10 years. How we think about cities, how cities provide services. And there will be new cities that's also created.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Llewellyn?
Well, I agree with my friend. On some points, I don't think the stock market is very secure. It went down on the statement by Trump in Ankara, Turkey. It went down 500 points immediately. Cost of gas is going up again. There's great instability, and the instability, alas, seems to be coming out of the White House. This is not an instability imposed on us. This is an instability introduced by us. Is there a war? Why was there a war? How will it end? What are the real objectives? At what point will we say, as we've said several times, that we won? And then the new instabilities. The president has attacked Spain. Spain is a pretty decent country with a lot of technology and a long history of friendship with the United States, a key member of NATO. He has decided to give F-35s to Turkey, which is a bit destabilizing, as Turkey doesn't get on with all members of NATO. It is rather at odds, as you know, with Greece and some doubt about it in other parts of NATO. But NATO itself is under tremendous threat. The world's most successful alliance is being shaken and constantly shaken by Donald Trump. There's no purpose to that, in my view. I think it's destructive and has no end. He's also raised the specter of the US taking over Greenland, which would be an act of aggression against a NATO country and would have huge consequences. This is not the America we know and love. This is not the justice-seeking America. This is a petulant performance by an administration and a president who has all of the instincts of a petulant child, not of a statesman. And it's a very disturbing time. It's a hard time to be an American. I would also like to say the continued assault on immigrants should be very hard for any of us to live with. I am an immigrant, but some people were not volunteer immigrants. Others were volunteer immigrants. The majority of Americans were volunteer immigrants, and we should bear that in mind. We're a large country, a great capacity to absorb immigrants, and they have contributed so much. I was in the hospital this week, and about 3:30 a.m., there was a small crisis with my care, and I looked around the room where people flooded in to help and were great professionals. And there were 5 people there, 4 of whom were clearly not born in America. All of the doctors in this hospital were not born in America, or all but one that I saw. I didn't see every doctor in the hospital. Our gratitude should go to, we should stop demonizing immigrants. Now, it's true, I'm a hypocrite on this issue. It's very hard not to be a hypocrite about immigration. I, for example, think there are too many immigrants in Britain. It's changing the nature of Britain. And I, about 30 years ago, wrote and broadcast a little bit saying I was worried about this became a two-language country, because two-language countries don't work well. It's a problem in Canada, a problem in Belgium, a problem in South Africa. Two languages are very tough on a country and its cohesion. That that has gone away. It is not a problem. Spanish is not taking over America, and immigrants continue to help at every level, from healthcare to chicken care. I was down in New York not long ago talking to an immigrant owned and operated company about AI agents. They were one of the first companies to, at least to me, explain agents. And a group of us went out to lunch, and we were all sitting around talking about how wonderful America is, how many opportunities, how we had all so glad that we lived here. And then it occurred to us almost simultaneously that nobody at this table was born in America. Three were born in Asia, two in Spain, myself in Africa. We are an immigrant country. Look at all of the top technology companies, and there are huge preponderance of CEOs were not born in the US. And I'm very proud to say, as a Zimbabwean, that a Zimbabwean is number 3 at Google. What are you going to do? Throw all these people out? But worse, that talent that would otherwise be coming to build America is going to go to build somewhere else. It's going to stay in China, or it's going to stay in wherever it is, or it's going to go into Europe. The folly of this crusade against immigration, calling immigrants communists and just low-grade rhetoric, is not helpful to the US, and it's terribly cruel. The individuals affected are subjected to unbelievable cruelty, plucked up from lives you made in one place because you wanted to better yourself, and thrown into another place, maybe where you've never been before, or to your homeland, which you escaped from because you weren't safe there, you couldn't earn a living, you couldn't eat. We need to take a look at immigration and fix it. And the first thing would be to get the ICE agents back in their barracks and leave them there.
So let me round out before I introduce our guests on a lot of stuff that is going on. You know, the big boys keep hedging their bets and their partnerships from Nvidia and others, and everybody's investing on many things. Apple just agreed to buy $30 billion worth of Broadcom chips, and actually, Apple is looking at moving back to having a relationship with Intel to make chips again. OpenAI launched a voice-activated version of ChatGPT. Crypto firms are in the rebound. There's all kinds of things going on with China and Anthropic and OpenAI and the battle for the next open source LLM model. Bank of America, it's quote working on the IPO for OpenAI, and actually the battle between OpenAI and Anthropic is really interesting. They're the top two companies in the Disruptor 50, where our own Joan Sibley Butler is a judge for CNBC. And rounding up the top 5 companies are Databricks and Dural and Ramp, and then followed by Sierra, Mistral, whatnot, Sierra, and Notion. Now, ERCOT today seems to be doing okay. There's 17 gigawatts of reserves. We have had a pretty hot summer so far, and it's just starting. Today is going to be 96 in Austin. And the mix continues to be very impressive. You know, the solar is 36% of the current generation at this moment right now. Wind is 13%, natural gas 33, nuclear 6, and coal it's 10%. So, you know, the portfolio strategy continues to work. Renewables continue to win and grow fast. And then last but not least, Tesla that's built their gigaset. A significant number of vertically integrated factories are on SpaceX after they went public. SpaceX is going to build its own satellites, its own chips, its own rockets, all in Austin in the Bastrop County. That is a huge transformation, some 50,000 square feet of manufacturing plus another 100,000 square feet of um, office facilities and some 10,000 new workers. And, well, I say all that, it used to be that at some point this battle within Texas or where is the fastest growing area. And I think the Dallas Metroplex continues to be really the number one place. And so we're lucky to have Keshnel Penny, Chief Information Officer at the City of Grand Prairie, Texas. In Grand Prairie is a city located in Dallas, near Dallas, in the Tarrant and Ellis counties, with a small part extending into the Johnson County, and is part of the well-known Mid-Cities region in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, growing fairly fast. They're over 200,000 people now, and I don't know how many people are moving into Grand Prairie, Texas every day. But Keshnel, welcome to the program. How are you?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I am doing well. And thank you all for having me. Thank you all
Absolutely.
for having me. I'm
Tell
honored.
Tell us real quick about your city and maybe tell us a little bit about you and take your time and then maybe talk a little bit while you're doing that about some of the key initiatives you're driving. I see a lot of innovation and crazy cool things going on, as the kids would say. So,
Okay, so I will start with the city. You gave a great introduction on our city, the 16th largest city in Texas. And mind you, if you ask anybody in Texas, they're going to say their city is the fastest growing city. But Grand Prairie truly is a fast growing city. I was here when we had a lot of just open land. A lot of that land is gone now. We have built a lot, so much more that we started to annex more land south of the city, and we're actually building a Amazon data center and
mm,
about 20,000 rooftops in that area. So it's
mm,
going to be a major development for us.
hmm
And like you alluded to, we're in 4 counties um, in about 4 school districts. The kids have a lot of options. The city is about 26 miles long. So if you can imagine that, our city is from top to bottom, 26 miles long, and it's only about 8 miles wide. It's not a wide city. It's really long. It'll probably take you about 30 minutes to get from one end of the city to the other end. And so that's about Grand Prairie. And about myself, as you said, Kishnell Penny, I am too, John, a Army veteran.
mm.
Um,
Thank you for
so
your service.
you are welcome, sir. I'm one of those eras of veteran that came after the Vietnam vets.
Mhm.
Did some time over in Iraq. Um, didn't get all the medals you did, but
When I sent you over
but
there, I was with
yeah,
W then, so thank me.
yeah.
Okay.
So I've been the CIO of Grand Prairie, Texas for about 10 years now. I started out as a software developer, and then I worked my way up to be the CIO of the city.
Mhm. That's awesome. Tell us about some of the projects you guys are working on.
Okay, so some of the projects we're working on, everyone has an AI project going on. We do also. We just launched a chatbot for our city website, and also we're using AI to answer phone calls that's coming into our phone lines now.
Mhm.
And that's something we are in testing, and we're going to go live with it later this month. And we're hoping that this is going to help us with all of the calls that we have coming into our main number
Mhm.
and let AI handle some of those calls.
Is
So
that
that's
the 311 number?
no, this is you call our city
Oh.
and you actually speak to the operator and you are going to get the AI that's going to talk to you in Spanish, English, or Vietnamese,
Wow.
and it's going to try to answer your questions as best as it can. And if not, then you can always go to an operator.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very
Very
cool.
cool.
Let me ask you this stuff about the city. Yes, I know Grand Prairie because you know I'm a suffering Dallas Cowboy fan. I think that's about 15 to 60. I don't know 30 minutes from where you are. And
No, it's right across the street. I can go outside and I can see the stadium. Yeah,
okay,
it's that close.
oh,
It's
is it that close?
right down the street. Yeah, it's about 10
Yeah,
minutes away.
and I do remember. And Brady James and I went into the Hall of Fame at LSU together. And I know that he's a
Okay.
big. I think he lives out there. My question is this: I remember when the stadium was first put there. Jones wanted to put it downtown to enhance the city of Dallas, and instead he put the stadium out there. When you look at the growth of your city, and you look at where people work, and look at the commuting patterns, my question is this: in if you look at your workforce, how many are working at home in our connected society? How many drive in from Dallas in our connected society? Put another way, if you can estimate the proportion in your city of the workforce that drives in from other cities around there, what would that be? And I ask that because of the way cities are growing in connectivity.
Yes, sir. See, the great thing about Grand Prairie is that we are centrally located in between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a lot of industries in our city, but our city is mainly known for, hey, I work in Dallas or I work in Fort Worth and I live in Grand Prairie.
Okay, so it's the opposite. Okay.
Yes, yes, correct. Many of our residents actually work outside of the city, but they live in Grand Prairie
Okay.
because we are right in the middle of the DFW area.
So in other words, you're gearing toward a bedroom community also, in
Yes.
addition to the industry that you have. So what are the major changes that you see that your citizens want? I mean, when they have meetings as you grow, and you are growing very, very rapidly, right? And just remember, you're in North Dallas, and Houston is growing, and of course San Antonio is really growing, and Austin is growing. But how do you guys think about the growth? What are the issues in growth that you have? Is it transportation? Do we need trains? Do we need fast trains? Are we going to look like Philadelphia and New York in 15 years with train tracks everywhere? What's your major kind of concern in this connected economy?
Well, when you talk about trains, mass transit, this is Texas. I think we kind of gave up on that, a couple of years ago. Um, but as far as our city goes, we prioritize transportation within our city because we are a big hub for going to Fort Worth and Dallas. It's hard for you to go from either Fort Worth to Dallas without passing through the City of Grand Prairie. So what we do is that we try to make it our roads. We try to make them the best roads possible because we know that we have many citizens that come from outside of our city to transit our city to go to other cities. So Grand Prairie is like a big hub. We
Mm.
have a lot of retail in our city. We're one of the few cities in Texas that has an IKEA, that has a chicken and pickle, that have an Andretti's. It's just a list of all of these retail stores, and we have them right there in one corridor, which is called our 161 corridor. So we are a big destination, and we sell ourselves as a destination city. We have over, I think it was 50 parks in our city. And we also have, believe it or not, a Vegas style water show in
Mm-hmm.
our city. For the World Cup, we actually had it to where you can view the game on a big screen of water that was about 20 feet high, and we projected a game on it.
Okay.
Mm.
So my last
And so,
question that I have written down is when you look at where people are coming from. So I'm in Austin, so we get a lot of California people. Okay, we know that lots of people from California is most of your migration in the state of Texas? Is it from the northeast and northwest, the west coast? Where would you project, or have you looked at the data where people are coming to enrich your state, your city? Where are they coming from?
I've seen multiple people come from the state of California. I've also seen some come from Oregon, and also just across the street in Louisiana. So if I was to take a guess, I would say most of what I've seen is coming from over west.
So it's the same in Texas in general because of the opportunity structure. Okay,
Yes,
those are
sir.
my questions I have written down. I'll think of some more.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick, a few more data points for Llewellyn as well. Yeah, I mean the city's growing very fast. 120,000 people in 2000. So they have added 75,000 people in the last 20 years or so, and they're just, I mean, they're now a little bigger than Brownsville, Johnny. So growing very fast.
Okay.
Llewellyn?
Yes, thank you, Keshnel. Um, what are your problems? What would you like to change in Grand Prairie today?
If there was one thing I could change, I would say it would be funding. The way cities are funded and the amount of revenues we can bring in as cities, so that way we can provide better services to our residents. Um, you know, Being in Texas, there are some regulations that kind of inhibit how much we can bring in as a city, and all cities are working around that, and then we are too. It makes it challenging to innovate when you have a limited budget.
Um, what are there's a list of things that are generally considered when deciding whether a city is a smart city. They include safety, walkability, healthcare, transportation. Those are the main ones. How does your city stack up on those issues?
Well, so our city is not necessarily a walkable city. We do have areas, mainly downtown, and in that shopping corridor I talked about, that are walkable. But the rest of our city is not. It's more of a commuter type of city. And as far as smart city technology goes, we have many smart city items, and sometimes the goal or the definition of a small city changes,
Mhm.
but we do all of the what do you call it, the meter readers, we do the smart lights, we do
Mhm.
the smart traffic control system, so we do have all of those types of smart technologies. Is that smart city technology? Is it innovative? I believe so, but it's to the point where you have a lot of other cities that are doing the same thing. And so
Mhm.
what we are currently looking at is, are there any more places that we can innovate but at the same time, is it
Mhm.
economical for us to do it?
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
A final question in this series of questions. What's the water supply like for you? People are getting very nervous outside of Texas about moving to Texas when they hear that there are water shortages and that these could worsen quite dramatically in the next 10 years.
Well, our water supply here, as far as my knowledge goes, it's pretty secure. We have not implemented a water ban yet, but then again, summer just started, so that might change.
What is the source of your water?
So we are in the Dallas metro area, so there are water districts in the area, and some of our water comes from, I think the majority of our water actually comes from Dallas. So wherever Dallas gets it from, I believe it's the Trinity River Authority. I'm not exactly sure,
Yep.
but we buy our water from Dallas, and I believe we buy from one other source, but it's mainly Dallas. We procure water from.
Yeah, I have to confirm that it's the Trinity River that feeds
Okay,
Metroplex. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Keshnel, you guys, your electricity is a partnership with Encore. You have your own water utility. You got public works, you have your parks. That water park is fabulous. I've seen it many times. I need to go check it out. Um, and you're growing really, really fast. Is there anything that you are working towards in your strategic plan that is coming in the next 6 months, 12 months? What are you working on?
Yeah, it's thank you for asking that question because we just updated our strategic plan for the next 2 to 3 years. And in the strategic plan, we have a wealth of projects. And some of the main things we're doing is modernization.
Mhm,
When I took over, we have many legacy systems, those old IBM A series, the AS400s. We still have
mhm,
one that's running in our data center right now. And it's been there for a very long time.
mhm,
So part of what we're doing is modernizing those old systems, and we just have one left.
mhm,
And we are going to go live with a new ERP system
mhm,
in October.
mhm,
And so after that, our modernization process will be complete, and
mhm,
then we'll move on to the next stage of
mhm,
doing more innovations.
mhm,
And as you know, AI is a top of the list, so we will be doing a lot more in that AI space.
mhm. Are you guys, and I'm curious, are you guys looking at doing things like using uh NFTs, the tokenization of real estate, of assets, of approval of permits, or your land approval process, your permitting process? How far are you going on automating all that?
No, I would say, me personally, I like to keep it boring, when it comes to the technology because we have to play it really safe when it comes to the citizens and who we serve.
Mhm,
So we don't have any in our roadmap to use any NFTs, any blockchain, but we do plan to use AI to better serve our citizens.
okay.
Right now, we developed an internal AI system for employees where we have all of our permits, we have our city meetings, all of our plan documents, so
Mhm,
employees can go to this one source and they can look up any information that they want to. They can
mhm,
even write their council communications by going to this software, this AI, and typing in, "Hey, I want to write a council communication because I'm going to buy some Dell servers," and it will look and see what you have done in the past, and it will do its best to write a council communication for you. In addition to that, it will look at some of the past questions that council members have asked, and it will
mhm,
give you a list of possible questions that they might ask in the future.
mhm.
So it's a really cool technology.
Very cool. Johnny?
Yeah, let me ask you this. You made a sliding comment earlier about you wish that we had better ways of funding cities and how it's funding for people who don't live in the state of Texas, which this is one of the things that's left over from the Republic. Then, of course, the state would turn back money sometimes for cities from Washington. You know that. I mean, because it just felt like that. We have our own grid here in the state of Texas, and we don't need much money from the federal government to do things in the state of Texas. So if we think it's disruptive, and I was involved with the small business turning back money for small business, and also related to that is, have you looked at what Andreas does in terms of the funding of cities? That is, making buildings smart, making the lighting smart, where you turn your light poles into producing revenue. So you don't have to comment on the state of Texas. That's kind of known by everybody. But what do you think about the idea of other things in the cities in this connected area where you can create revenue from streetlights? You can create revenue from small business enterprises. Because remember, you might be in Grand Prairie, but you really sit on a platform just like Houston and Dallas. So
Yeah.
when I interact with you, it could be just one city. Right. So have you thought about creating money from the new technologies in terms of lighting as a resource for revenue?
You know what? We have not looked at that very, very much. As you know, a lot of IT departments, especially for municipalities, we're more inward facing, and we're not necessarily that entrepreneurial, going out there trying to bring monies in. But I have looked at different resources to where we have a pretty big radio system in our city that we have grown over the years, and we looked at partnerships to where we can charge other municipalities for using our radio system. But then,
Hmm.
me personally, I held back from that because working in the public safety for a while, we're all public safety. So I don't necessarily want to make money off of that. I want the officers and emergency workers to be able to communicate unimpeded. So that was one revenue source that we was looking at, but then that wasn't something I really wanted to go down. And as far as IT goes, I am open for ideas about revenue sources. I would say that because it would be nice to see on the IT balance sheet that we have some income, which never happens.
Right.
Okay, so how many light fixtures light poles do you have in your city? Would you estimate?
Oh man, we probably have thousands in our city. However, I think many of those are controlled by a third party vendor, maybe Encore, I believe.
Encore.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
all
Encore,
controlled
yeah,
by Encore. It's about
yeah.
20,000 lights, Johnny.
So you got how much money is he letting go by the wayside, Andreas? 20,000 lights. What could we do for him?
$100 per light per month.
Okay.
And do the math on that. How much is that, Andreas?
$1,200 times 20,000.
Yep. That's a lot.
Well, I think I
You're
think
like,
I think the point is this: when we look at cities,
2.4 million bucks a year.
yeah, that
yeah,
would be nice on my balance sheet.
that would be nice because and what has happened is that we've worked with cities and it's just a way of, as you said, about a way of thinking, about the
Mm.
world. And with cities, people think of zoos, they think of parking tickets, right? They think of all those traditional kinds of ways of bringing a revenue in. But you can also communicate, right, with your fire department, etc. But at the same time, your citizens can also plug into a light pole and
Yep.
provide data and plug up everything and store everything and of course charge up everything. And of course, then you can know the number of people who are moving in your city. You can look at all the
Mhm.
cars that's going through. You can look at where they're going. You can direct them to restaurants and etc. So it's just a new way of looking at the business models of cities, I think, which have not changed because we generally think about just revenue from taxes and revenue again from tickets, from revenue from other kinds of things, but never we think of the new kind of revenue from IT. So I think that's pretty wild. Andres, you might want to comment on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you know what? I always say I do think that's a good idea because recently we've been having meetings, leadership meetings about how can we increase revenue for the city. And so you have other departments that are talking about, hey, we can adjust these fees, we can adjust that. And being in IT, you never have anything to contribute because we are not outward facing. We're not we don't necessarily generate revenue. IT is more of a cost center. So ideas of how to generate revenue for IT that interests me.
okay. We can do a follow-up on that. I was going to ask her real quick before I bring Llewellyn again that usually traditionally cities are really worried about a few things about homelessness, they're worried about traffic, they're worried about home ownership. Are those things top of mind also in the challenges of Grand Prairie, or there are different ones?
I would say, the homeless problems, I don't know the stats, but there's homeless people all over the country. I think the good thing that we do in Grand Prairie is that we have really good programs for homeless, and we try to help them. So when you're driving through Grand Prairie, you don't necessarily see that many homeless people as you would if you go to one of the larger cities.
Hmm.
So I would credit the city on that.
Hmm.
And then as far as transportation goes, we have massive capital projects that we are going to rebuild a lot of our roads in the city. In fact, right behind me is one of our main down street areas, and we're
Hmm.
going to take that from a four-lane highway and make it a two-lane highway and make it more pedestrian friendly and walkable.
Hmm.
So that's actually a big project we're working on right now. That is going to be like our new downtown project. In fact, behind of me, I don't know if you hear all the noise going on, but we are building a concert stage like right outside of my office. And
Hmm.
and so the plan is we have a big open lawn. We're gonna do concerts in our lawn at City Hall.
Cool. Very
So
cool.
yeah.
Llewellyn?
Um, you talked about transportation and you dismissed train transportation. You didn't mention automated vehicles. We've talked to other cities on this program, and part of their plans are to have automated vehicles largely to move people between transportation centers, like from the train station to work. Well, you don't have a train station, you're not involved with, or from the subway to somewhere else. That these are small, autonomous, cheap to run, and presumably safe, and you don't have to have them staffed, so they're not expensive to operate and not especially expensive to procure. Are you looking at automated transportation?
So I would say this first. When it comes to the train part, I love trains. I would love the fact if we could, if I, myself and my wife and kids, we can take a train to Houston or Austin on the weekends, which is something we do quite often, but we have to drive. So I would love if we had train transportation in
I'm with you.
Texas.
I'm a train addict
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, being in Germany for a while, there was a lot of transportation, but not necessarily here, in Texas. And it took me a while to figure out why there is not that much mass transportation in Texas. But that's probably a story for a different day. But I mean, if you just look at the state of Texas, just right down 35, there could be a train, right? There could be a train tracks, but different story. So just want to say that I would love mass transportation in the state of Texas.
Sure.
As far as
Do you
as
have any
far as
Uber and Waymo going on there?
no Uber or Waymo going on in our city. I wish we did have some partnerships with those organizations to provide rides in our city. Who knows? Maybe after we get the new downtown, we might
Hmm.
see more of those in our city.
Hmm. What about fiber? Do you own fiber? Do you have fiber to every facility that you own connect?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we have about 60 buildings that the city owns, and we have fiber to about 50 of them. And
Okay.
we have a fiber master plan that we're working on to connect all city buildings and resources. We do have some radio towers and some lift stations in the city that we want to run fiber to, and that is in our master plan.
Got it.
Okay,
Got it.
well, the answer to your question about transportation is we treat cars like horses in Texas. That is, you should be able to jump in your car and drive where you want to and park it and jump out and get a beer and jump
Yeah.
back in and drive home. Yeah. I think, but also let me just say this. There are plans between cities for fast trains between Dallas and Houston and Austin, and of
Hmm.
course the beautiful hill country. Now, I don't know how far that is, but out. But that's certainly that has been talked about. And the other thing that Llewellyn brought up was, I mean, you don't have a lot of uh, cars let me just say cars with no people in them. That's what I like to call
Yeah.
them. Driverless cars rather than the brand name. I mean, you don't have a lot of that like we have in Austin? I mean, they're everywhere in Austin.
No.
You don't have that in Grand Prairie, and why not, you think?
Uh, yeah, no, we don't have any Grand Prairie. In fact, I was in Dallas over the weekend, and they are in Dallas, but just not here in Grand Prairie.
Okay, okay.
I'd like
Well,
to ask, what is the impact, Keshnel, of scooters and electric bicycles that clearly are part of the transportation mix? I mean, not everybody likes them, but all the major cities I go to, pretty well anywhere in the world, they're now part of the mix. People are riding around on scooters and more on modified, simple electric bicycles. Which look half like motorcycles, but they're not as robust.
Surprisingly, we don't have those either. We
Hmm.
don't have scooters or those electric bikes that you can rent in
Hmm.
our city.
And
Interesting.
I haven't seen any data on this, but in large cities where there's a lot of it, it must make a difference both to the density of traffic and to the speed of commuting.
Mhm.
Of course, there are other issues like safety and training, but they certainly are having an impact in places all over the country. I was just in New York and observed a lot of scooter riders, and there are a lot of scooter riders in Washington. Certainly, Washington D.C. Has been heavily impacted for quite a long time now by scooters, and more recently by electric bikes. Um, what does your city have to teach other cities? What do you have to share with other cities?
So I would say this when it comes to transportation. So our city, we don't have any mass transportation. We don't. There's this organization called DOT, which has mass transportation within the cities. Some cities in North Texas. We are not part of that coalition. We don't have any scooters. We don't have any electric bikes. We don't have any of that. But what we do have as a city is that we have a ride share service
Hmm.
that there's it's called Viva. So if you are a resident of Grand Prairie, you can get the app on your phone and you can call it's kind of like an Uber, and the
Hmm.
city manages it, and we will come pick you up and take you anywhere you want to go within the city or peripheral areas around the city. So I think that's one of our ways that we're helping out with the lack of mass transportation within our city.
Hmm.
Thank you. What are the magnet aspects of your city? My wife and I were to come down. Um, why would we come to Grand Prairie, and what would we do when we were there?
So Grand Prairie is known as a recreation destination. We are right on a big lake, which is called Joe Pool Lake, and so there's lots of camping grounds in our area. And like I said, we have like over 20 parks. So there's many places for you to go and hike and bike in our city. And then we also have the indoor water park, which is a very large indoor water park in our city. Then we have our water show, which is right there in the same area. So we're kind of known of like, oh, the what we're trying to build is that entertainment venue in our city where you come to Grand Prairie to play. In fact, that used to be our slogan a while back was you come to Grand Prairie to play.
I like it. Very good slogan.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, absolutely. I was also going to mention to you guys just because on Monday it was the grand opening in Texas of the Texas Stock Exchange. It started doing testing on Monday and is expected to start trading volume, serious volume by Friday. It's actually already trading volume today. Um, is this new stock exchange have any? influence on you guys are thinking about anything related to that? I maybe it's too early, but I'm just curious, Keshnel, if there's anything going on that would be driven by this new hub of investors and companies moving into the Metroplex for a new a new Wall Street called Y'all Street.
You know what? Not directly to my knowledge, but I would say this. In our city, we're building the infrastructure so that when those people do come, they have somewhere to live and also to play.
Got it. Got it.
Absolutely. That's Rick Perry's. Given the elections in New York, it might populate much faster than we think it will populate.
Well, we're gonna have lots of places for them to go.
Yeah,
Like I
basically,
said,
Mr. Penny, we
yeah.
think that if we get Goldman Sachs to move from New York to your area and some other big firms, then we can move Wall Street to Texas and get it out of the People's Republic of New York. So that's what we're kind of working on. But seriously, that's pretty wild. But what you're doing is, what we see in all states, we see the rebuilding of small cities. We see the development of new cities. We see Epic City that's trying to go in up by you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Epic City. We see, and it's all based on what the technology can do for us. I mean, can you imagine, therefore, that, and it is coming, that I won't have to drive to work anymore. Just my car would take me to work and pick me up, drop me off and pick me up, and that's coming. But the city, throughout the history of peoplekind, has always been where people gather. That is, we are still human. We are social in nature. We have to teach people how to goof off. We have to teach people how to have a good time. And so since you are there as let's come to a party to your city, I think you're well versed to do that, to just go have a good time if you can stomach the Dallas Cowboys. So my next question to you is, it's a Llewellyn question. As you plan for the future of your city, as you look down 20 years from now, are you part of Dallas? Are you part of Fort Worth? Have you grown together? Will you be incorporated like we tried to do with Round Rock and Pflugerville in Austin and San Marcos? Or will you go into a new regional hub to do business and compete with other parts of Texas?
Yeah. So, anyone that has been to the North Texas area, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you will clearly see that the city limit lines are disappearing. You could barely tell when you're in one city and the next because it's just one continuum of industry and growth. So Dallas is growing fast. Fort Worth is growing fast, and then in the middle you have Arlington, Grand Prairie, and Irving. We're kind of like the bigger, some of the bigger cities right in the middle of that. So I can see probably those three cities growing into their own little, I don't know, mini metroplex within the
Mm-hmm.
Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me give you some history. Back, I don't know, 40 years ago when we were planning Austin, we were in Washington, and Cisneros was the mayor of San Antonio. And he was speaking to the Senate, and he said, well, we have Rice University in San Antonio. And the senator said, wait a minute, Mayor, Rice is in Houston. And the mayor said, Cisneros said, yeah, but we're all moving in the same direction. We'll be all one city in the future. And that was 40 years ago. And I said that because when it comes to economic development, there's a lot of regional planning. So if you can grow, for example, Andrea's work when he was at Texas State, we didn't base it on Austin. We talked regions, right? We talked San Marcos. We talked San Antonio. We talked Waco. And the strangest thing that ever happened to Andreas and I, we were in Killeen, Texas, which is a good hour and a half from Austin. And the city manager said the following, we are now North Austin. And am I right?
Oh, really?
Am I right, Andreas?
Yeah.
And I looked at Andreas and I said, why are you North? And I asked the city manager, and the mayor was there, why are you North Austin? He said, because companies in Austin, they have buses going to work in Elon's factory. So we consider ourselves North Austin. So all of a sudden, the
Really?
mental, like I'm from
Yeah.
I'm from the North Shore of New Orleans, and I hate for people to say, "Are you from the North Shore?" No, I'm from the Covington, Slidell, Franklinton area. Don't call me the North Shore. I mean, I get mad. Hey, but I'm older. Other kids will say, "Well, I'm from the North Shore of New Orleans." So I think
Mm.
as we look at economic development, and if you look at the East Coast, which are always tied together. And by the way, when you drive between San Antonio to San Marcos to Austin, you get the same feeling that it's just one
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just keep in mind that as you grow, your regional thinking will probably progress also.
Yeah. I agree.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm looking at the time here, Keshnel, and I see that that you guys are slam dunk on success because you're trapped already in the metroplex and you have no choice but to grow as fast as you can. So, so I wish you great luck. We will follow up with you on business models and ideas. And I suspect that you work for the CFO in the city.
No, no. CFO is their own department. I work directly for a deputy city manager.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Well, we'll follow up. We'll come see you. We know all kinds of things in the Metroplex, and I enjoy very much meeting you and having you in the show. We'll circle back, let you a year go by, and see where you are and your growth and the journey. Good luck with the Amazon data center and all the other things you're working on. Gene, thank you for being on the show. Llewellyn, final thoughts.
I would like to add my thoughts to that. And I think, and it's just an idea, that we're overdue for a breakthrough on transportation. Uh, Trains are, after all, at least 19th century and very expensive to install. Buses tend to be dirty and to clog up cities. But any day now, we're going to see some breakthrough. I think a lot of packages will not be carried in trucks. They'll be either carried in tubes underground or by drones.
Mhm.
So I think, don't think that we need more of what we've got. That goes back to the idea that Henry Ford is alleged to have said, that he didn't actually say it, but what the public wants is a faster horse. And we're all tend to be thinking of a faster horse when indeed something quite different may show up to make a very big difference to cities that don't have the very expensive and complex, but essentially 19th century train systems and especially subway systems. So I'm waiting for a breakthrough. We get breakthroughs in everything else. There has to be a transportation breakthrough. And that's why I raised the question about scooters. That's a kind of a breakthrough. I wouldn't be caught on one. I'd fall off and do myself considerable damage besides running into somebody's nice automobile. I wouldn't mind if it was Johnny's. He's got a lot of money. Um, but ordinary people. No, just I want to leave the thought. I like the idea that you're an entrepreneurial city and that there are new ways and different ways of doing things. And you don't have to have more of the past when there's always the chance of having more of the future.
There you go. Johnny, final thoughts?
I think I'm with Llewellyn. Stay entrepreneurial, and this the future will come to you as you create the future. That is what we've learned. If you look at the movement of cities, and if you don't embrace the future, we had the Rust Belt in America, and I think it's because they did not look at, they wanted, as Llewellyn said, or as Ford would say, they wanted a faster horse. I don't know what happened to Detroit. I don't know what happened to the Rust Belt. But certainly, as we build cities throughout America, everything can become a part of the Rust Belt if we don't continue to adapt to change in the technology and continue to create new enterprises.
Yeah.
I would say one last thought that Grand Prairie has a great opportunity of being an Austin-like environment. It has huge parks. It has Joe Pool Lake and the Mountain Creek Lake. Those are huge, huge lakes in the middle of between Fort Worth and Dallas, and they're definitely on the entertainment side of the house in terms of they have their own water park, and it's a beautiful place to be. So good luck with everything you're working on.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This discussion reminds me of a song. Now let's go to Lukenbach, Texas. Wheeling, whaling, and the boys. Now this successful life we're living got us feeling like the Hatfields and McCoys. Between Jeff's train song and Newberry's rain song and Blue Eyes crying in the rain. But back in Lukenbach, Texas, ain't nobody feeling no pain.
Woo! Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Have a great
Take care.
week.
Y'all be good. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you
All
much.
right.
Go Cowboys.